Just take a minute and look at us. Open your heart and we will gain your trust. And when you choose us, we'll see you through. And 4 years later, they'll be looking at you. You can find us upon the hill. We're fighting bulldogs and we're keeping it real. Our colors are maroon and white. When you join us, you'll wear them for life.
Hello and welcome to News from the Hill. I'm Elizabeth Sloan-Ragland, and of course, on the program, we try to introduce you to new people, new places, new opportunities, and new things. We talk about things that are going on the Hill, Alabama A&M University, but we also reach out into the community. Today, my guest is new to the Hill, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about him, and then we are going to talk about the many interesting programs that are going on the Hill. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Liz. It's really good to be here, and actually, I would say coming back to the Hill. I started my academic career here at Alabama A&M. I won't go and tell you how far back, but back far enough.
A few years.
A few years ago, yes.
Okay.
But anyway, it was in the 80s. I'll just go as far as that. But I went to school here for 3 years, as a matter of fact. During that time, I was co-oping. I took advantage of a co-op opportunity. And so I was going back and forth to the university, up to Maryland. And eventually, that grind got a little bit too much, and I decided to transfer to the University of Maryland, and I finished my undergraduate degree there. So,
but you got your start on the Hill.
I got my start, and really, I mean, just my confidence level, learning who I was as a young man, growing into being a young man, that happened here. And I'm not saying that just to, make it sound good. That's really what happened. My brother was going here before I did, and we had 1 year together here. My sisters, two of my sisters attended Alabama A&M before I did. My nephew graduated from here not too long ago. So there's a history of Alabama A&M that kind of runs through my blood. One of the additional reason that I didn't stay here, because at the time there was not an accredited engineering program. So I was co-oping with the federal government, and they didn't recognize the engineering technology at the time as engineering. So basically I would have had to go to another school in order to become an engineer. And that's what I did. So I think now coming back here as the Dean of Engineering, Technology, and Physical Sciences, I think is kind of fitting. So anyway, I'm Chance Glenn, and it got here in August of this year to come back to be the Dean of the college. Well,
that is a good experience to come full circle,
yeah,
to go to school and then come back and serve as the dean. So that's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that when you were here, that we did not have the engineering program. We had engineering technology.
That's right.
Tell us, what is the difference for those who don't know?
Well, probably the clearest difference is that the engineering technology is more of a practice, is more practical in nature, more hands-on type of experiences, building things, testing things, more of the development side, whereas engineering tends to be more theoretical, taking things and designing it from its most basic elements, whereas engineering technology would more so take those elements and put them in practice. So I think that's the difference. When you get down into the program level, some of the math requirements, for example, in the engineering programs, a little bit more stringent than that in engineering technology. But they're both very technical. The requirements for the technical side are high in both programs.
What about opportunities, career opportunities?
Career opportunities, well, engineering, if you look at across the board, continues to be strong. The STEM fields in general tends to be strong as far as job opportunities go. And there are some new programs, and we are looking at some of these to start, but there are some new programs that are very exciting and strong in the job market. For example, recent CNN article had listed the top 100 jobs in America. And number one on that list was biomedical engineering. And there's certain factors that they take into it, but of course is job growth. The job growth for biomedical engineering was 62%. So this means each year there's a growth of 62% in the number of jobs. The regular average, the average for other fields is around 14%.
My.
So you can see that there's a exploding area. Now, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. We have a healthcare issue that's growing in this country. And so the kind of things that technology can do to improve health and medicine, that kind of finds its beginnings in the biomedical engineering fields. Now, I went through all of that to say that that's one of the programs we're looking at to include in our portfolio at this time. But right now we have in our college the electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, but our college is the engineering, technology, and physical sciences. So to include that, with that, we have construction management on the technology side. We have physics, chemistry, and mathematics, and computer sciences in that as well. So these are the programs we have in our portfolio right now. We're looking at some new ones, like I mentioned, biomedical, nuclear is something we're looking at as well.
Well, since we're in Huntsville, Alabama, with all of these different companies and all, how does that, I guess, position Alabama A&M University and the College of Engineering, Technology and all in terms of being able to reach out into the industry and the community, those kinds of things?
Well, we are very well positioned for that, and by virtue of the fact that we have invited a number of the members of our community, as you mentioned, to our advisory board, and we've expanded that board, and they're becoming very active in it. And by active, they're doing things that are helping us to shape our curriculum so that our students are prepared and well prepared for when they finish. They're also helping us with resources and all the kind of things, advice that we would need. Now, for example, I went out to, and I'll mention one company if that's okay.
That's fine.
I went out to Northrop Grumman, and the reason I mentioned it because there was a nice number of Alabama A&M alumni. They had an Alumni Association, and I met them when I went out and toured the facility. And the best advertisement that we can get in this community is our students out there getting it done for these companies.
Right.
And the person who was running the organization had glowing things to say, and they said, bring us more interns, bring us more co-ops, find us some people who can do things in the summer, all of that, because of the kind of work that those alumni that are there are doing. So they know that they can get some great people to work for them from this university and from our college. And so I was very proud of that. And I think that's just a small statement of what we have. I'll mention another thing. We had recently, and it was in the press, we had the Army's unmanned aircraft systems group who signed an MOU with us, Memorandum of Understanding, and are giving us some equipment and all this that we'll use for our programs and for our students and all that. But with that, when they came out, there was again a large contingent of Alabama A&M alumni
Right.
Who were with them. And it was, again, very proud to see, and the people who are running, that particular operation, they were saying, give us more of your students. So we have something here. Now, here's the flip side and almost the bad news, is that it's almost like a secret. It's a best kept secret. We're not trumpeting this out that we have this. We have these great faculty and students and staff and equipment, facilities and capabilities. I go around the community and talk to people about it, and they have no idea that this is here, or we're up to this. So that provides us an opportunity. So we're trying to seize that.
You're trying to make certain that the best kept secret is kept no more?
Kept
is that
no
it?
more. It's no longer a secret. We want to let people know. So, as far as students, take a look at what we have here before you dismiss, oh, they're just A&M, they're right around the corner, whatever. Take a look at what we have here, and take a look at what our alumni are doing and the kind of jobs they're doing in this community, if you want to stay here, or even outside. But take a look at that before, you just start looking at other things, because in our college and in these STEM fields, which is very critical for this country, for this region, for Huntsville as well, for the globe, we are preparing students in that area. And I think we do it very well.
You mentioned that when you went to Northrop Grumman, that there was like an Alumni Association. Talk about that a little bit more, because as you also mentioned, the best salespeople for the program are people who have participated in it.
Right.
Talk about an Alumni Association. You don't tend to think of having something like that within a company and the people who are working there.
Well, they definitely have it. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know how Northrop is broken up, but it's a huge global company. They have all these divisions, and the division I went to, they had that association there. There were roughly 10, 11 people out of I would say an organization that maybe, I don't know, maybe a few hundred worked there. But those who I met with, that was the number. But they alluded to the fact that there were more and more within Northrop Grumman that they wanted to pull together and create a much larger Alabama A&M Alumni Association. So that says that there are a lot more of us Bulldogs out there in this company, and that's a good sign. So there's a gentleman there who's kind of organized, Foreman's his last name. He's organizing this group, and they were active, they were interested, and they also want to know how they could help us and help the college continue to prepare more students like we did for them.
So networking is very important.
Very important. So we have a newsletter we're generating now for the college. The first one will go out this week or after the holiday. But we have a newsletter that's going to keep our community abreast of what's going on up here. And that's a way to do that networking you're talking about. That's at least one way we're doing.
So for students, even before they get into the job market, how important is that networking so that you can get the job?
Yeah, it's very key. You're making some great points here, because we try to preach that with the students. You could go through a program and take the courses and pass the courses or do well, but if you don't get the experience and if you don't get connected with someone, you're doing yourself a great disservice. So we talked about our the advisory board. They will help to provide these connections and networking opportunities for students. Alumni can do that as well. And our faculty, they're building networks of people and contacts, and they can help our students do that as well. Students are coming to me, I stop and talk to them, and all of a sudden they say, well, I'm looking for this opportunity. They'll send me a resume, and then I'll be talking to someone in a company somewhere, and they say, we need some students that have this kind of expertise. And say, oh yeah, I just talked to such and such, and I can connect that together. And I know our Career and Development Center does that as well, but sometimes these direct personal networks that you build are the ones that can help you thrive. I mean, I know that's worked for me. I wish I could say I could just stand on all my skills and knowledge and internal things that I've built, but I can't. I have people that I know, people that have helped me, open doors for me. I'll give you a great example. I talked about co-oping. Back when I was here at A&M, there was an alumnus named Ezekiel Salter. And do you know him?
Yes.
Okay, well, he's the one who connected me with the co-op with the Army Research Lab.
Okay.
And he also knew Harold Batts back here.
Right.
Right. I ran into him when I came back. He was running a co-op and career office at the time, and got me this co-op. And I'm the kind of person, I'll jump at opportunities. I'll go somewhere new, because I'd never been to Maryland. But I went, and that turned into. Now get this, it turned not only into a full-time position with the Army Research Lab, but the Army Research Lab not only paid for the rest of my undergraduate school, they paid for my master's degree at Johns Hopkins and my PhD at Johns Hopkins. So without that connection, I would have never gotten those degrees in electrical engineering from those great schools. And he was the one who, the only connection was he was from Dothan, Alabama, which is where I grew up.
Okay.
So again, it's that networking connection that created opportunities. Now you got to be willing to jump on them and do your best when you get them, as you well know. But those contacts and connections are important. So that's a great example of that.
Right, which leads to my next question. How important is it to have scholarships, fellowships, and internships? Because again, in the economy, many people are saying now, how can I afford my education, or can I afford to do an internship? Do I have to do the job? Can I go for a higher degree, or should I just get my undergrad and go to work? Yeah. So how important in terms of those scholarships, fellowships, internships?
Well, I can't quantify how important it is. It is incredibly important. That type of thing would allow us to restructure, to change the game of what we're doing, to elevate. We have a theme in the college this year is elevation. We want to take what we're doing to a higher level. But in order to do that, if we want to attract students of a broad range, we have to have something to draw them with, and those scholarships and fellowships are things that we can have to attract students. There are changes going on at the federal level with regards to financial aid and with regards to loans and grants and things of that nature. That's changing at the federal level, and it's going to impact what we try to do here. So again, that's very important. So you bring up the point that we need help in that regard. We need for our alumni, and that was one of the reasons I was out there talking to them, because we need help. I'm not going to mince words or sugarcoat it in any way. We need help. We need people in the companies saying good things about us, being good representatives for us. We need other things, but we need financial help from the sake of scholarships, the kind of funds we need to create scholarships, fellowships, and things of that nature. We need that. And you'll be surprised. Now, I've been told that we have nearly 40,000 alumni, if not more. So just think if every one of those alumni just gave on average $1,000 a year to the university, back to the, now if they're alumni, they've graduated, then hopefully they're in professional situations. So $1,000, that would be $40 million a year that the university could operate off of. And, so just think about that. Now I know that's kind of a facetious type of example, but it does make sense. If we gave back more to the university that helped us become who we are, then think of what that would do. And think of what it would mean, because if you love the Hill, if you love being a Bulldog, and if you care about the students that are coming here, because see, what we're doing here, and I can speak for the college, in the STEM fields for sure, we're transforming people's lives. We're taking students who may not even have been able to go to college anywhere else, and they're getting through these programs, and they're coming, some are getting through and doing very well, and they're getting these jobs with the companies that we're talking about. And you contrast that with maybe their same peers who didn't take the same steps, and their lives are completely different. We're changing lives. We're creating the opportunities for families to grow and be healthy and strong because of education and professional life. We're doing this here. So, help us. If this is something that we've done for you, then help us do it for somebody else. And, I'm doing everything I can to try to make our college worthy of the investments that people would want to give us, so that when they do it, they know that it's going to something good. So that's, my job is to try to do that. But help us. That's the bottom line.
And the investment that you mentioned, of course, you have the financial, but there's also, I guess, a number of other ways, equipment and things like that. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right. Same company, I use an example. There's a few items that we're looking at getting. For example, I want to create in our computer science department a virtual immersive environment for development for our computer science students. Where you could walk into this room and it's as if you walked into a different world, and you can operate within it and do things within it. That's one of the things we want to help our students to learn about, build, to program, all of that, to design. So there's some companies who are giving us some things that can help us do that. Computer servers, for example, the projectors that we would need, things like that. I mentioned the drone system. That's a very expensive piece of equipment that we're being given. Now, if you read, some of the news, technology regarding drones and unmanned aircraft, that's really becoming something big. Isn't it? Not just for military type of things, for commercial and other types of applications. So
when you say commercial applications, I know all of us immediately think military, as you said. What type of commercial applications?
Well, for example, they have drones that go out and fly around and study landscapes and water systems and traffic systems, things like that. I know that police and fire, and those type of systems, they will use things like that. Drones are being used in those type of scenarios. There's a number of emerging commercial applications in that's growing. And there's some concern because you have these things flying around everywhere, and they don't all do what they're supposed to, and you have drone come crashing through your window.
And, and some people on the ground wondering about UFOs, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I think there was a news story that was just like that, that someone mistaken a drone for UFOs. But but there's concern about that. But it's a evolving, emerging area. And we have the capability of not only getting our students to learn about the design and how the operation as well of that type of thing. And there's a value to it because companies are popping up around this also. Yeah.
One of the terms that you've used quite often is the STEM program. Now, for those who don't know what the STEM represents, tell us what STEM is, and again, also how you're trying to get more minorities and women in the STEM program. Talk about that.
Well, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And that particular area, or you can call it field if you like, is critical. Critical now. You know, before we even talk about getting more minorities and women involved in it, this is a global imperative. The changing nature of our commerce, economy, is focused around the STEM fields. And if you look at the jobs outlook, as we mentioned earlier, those in the STEM disciplines, the job outlook is very, very good, very strong. But the competitiveness of our country with the rest of the world relies heavily on knowledge and growth in the STEM field. So there is a STEM initiative that the White House has put out. The goal is 1 million new scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians in the country. And so now if you zero it down into our world, and that has to do with minorities and women, it's extremely critical because, again, just as I mentioned, the transformation of lives due to this field that allows students to become professionals in this area, that's the STEM fields are where you can do that. So it's important that we, as our demographics in the country is changing, we have to, it's important that we prepare our students in this area. And HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, we're the leaders in preparing minorities in the STEM fields, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. So one of the things I kind of wrote a response, or at least an email to this group that was looking at the STEM initiative, the White House STEM initiative, because within that report, HBCUs were not at the table in that report. Now there's an HBCU initiative, but that STEM, million STEM students, our contribution to that number was not a part of the equation, and it needs to be.
It's important to be at the table.
Yes,
is that right?
We have to be at the table.
Okay.
You know, the election we just had really underscores the change in demographics in the country. And, you know, whatever side politically you're on, that's a fact that cannot be ignored. And so it's critical that we're at the table setting up the pathway and the processes for the future because we are playing a major role in the future, and that role can be for greatness, or it could be for not.
Okay, so we have to be at the table and involved.
Be at the table and involved. That's right.
Okay, well, you've mentioned some of your future plans and programs that you're planning to develop, and we've learned a lot about you, but of course, you'll be coming back and talking with us more, but I can't let you go until we talk about your involvement, I believe, in gospel music. Is that correct?
I just say in a past life.
Okay.
You know, pretty heavily involved in music. I was I grew up in the church down in Dothan, Alabama. And of course, our grandmother raised us, and you know, we went to church every Sunday and Wednesday and everything else. So, grew up with that, and grew up singing. Many of my family sing, but somewhere as I got older, I started writing music, and I was a part of a church in Maryland once I moved there that was a creative church, and so we liked to sing songs that was connected to what the pastor would be preaching about, do drama and other creative music. So instead of going out trying to find songs that would fit perfectly, we would just write them. So, and I was a worship leader at that particular church, and so I've written a great number of songs, and I been fortunate to produce a couple of CDs. One of them's called The Praise Project, and it's First Fruits is the name of the CD, and that's out on iTunes. Another one is was under my name, Chance Glenn. It's Jesus is Faithful. That's also up on iTunes. You can see the songs there. And because I was heavily connected into music, I had an independent record label. I got connected into the Grammy organization, and was able to get one of the songs on the CD nominated for a Grammy Award in 2000. So I have my booklet that has you know, my name and the song in there. So that was kind of cool. But, you know, I went around and did a lot of performing. I even had a radio show that I was doing an interview show, as a matter of fact, and would also feature, because I was promoting other music as well as my own. And so I did that for a few years. And so pretty proud of that. I think once I kind of got more heavily into my technical field and into academia and on the faculty and all that, then I had to kind of push that further and further away. But I still write some stuff. I've recently written a few songs, and so that's kind of the short story of it.
So you don't have to be pigeonholed into one little box, do you?
Well, you know, I think that I kind of classify it all into the creativity thing. What I didn't mention, when I grew up here, I went to Alabama School of Fine Arts in Birmingham when I was in the 9th grade. So I used to draw and paint and all that. Still, you know, pretty good at it. So people who knew me back in that time would have thought I was an artist. Then probably people who knew me a little older would think I was going to sing for my living, and then people who knew me a little later think it was technical stuff. So, because I have patents and things like that. But it's all, to me, the similarity is creativity. It's just different venues or that you use, but it's just being creative. Whether you create a song or create a picture or create a computer program or create a circuit board. It's to do something new. That's how they're connected to me.
Okay. Well, it seems like just multi-talented, and of course, I show my age by using the word Renaissance man. But I've enjoyed talking with you, and if you had to leave a word of wisdom or sentence or something for our audience, whether they are young, not so young, what would you share with the audience?
Liz, what I would share is this. Come and see the wonderful surprises that are up here on the hill. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. And as I've said, you'll have to come back because there are so many more things we need to talk about.
Okay, well, I appreciate the invitation and thank you for having me.
All right, then. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sloan-Ragland, and we're coming to the end of our interview with the new dean here at Alabama A&M University for the College of Engineering. And of course, hopefully you have learned something that you didn't already know about our program here on the Hill. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Sloan-Ragland, and of course, this is News from the Hill.
Just take a minute.